Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
Hi, I'm George Luna.
I'm Brittany Pacheco.
And I'm Washington Manhunter.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Yes, we are. Welcome to a very special edition of the Watchers in the Basement. It's time that we talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League. We're going to review the 4-hour movie today, right now, in today's episode. And
it's not going to take 4 hours either. Good.
You sure?
It might.
It might.
It might. Don't tempt me with a good time because I could talk about it for 4 hours.
Good.
Before we get started, I just want to talk about the Snyder Cut, like kind of my perception of it going in after watching it. So when this movie, when the original Justice League came out in 2017, it's not a movie I saw in the theaters because I didn't like Man of Steel or Batman vs Superman that much. I mean, there's cool stuff in Batman vs Superman, but there's a lot of dumb stuff too that I didn't like. So I wasn't interested in Justice League. I saw it later on, like a year later. I thought it was okay, but it seemed kind of watered down. The colors were weird, and some of the characters were stupid. And so when people were like crying out they wanted to see the Snyder Cut, I was like, why would you want to see the Snyder Cut of this movie? Because like Man of Steel was the Snyder Cut of that movie. It was not good in my opinion. Batman vs Superman was the Snyder Cut of Batman vs Superman. Again, not super great. But I gotta say, guys, like I'm a full-on convert. I'm a Snyder guy now. I love this movie. The Snyder Cut it's a very good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've seen it 3 times, and yeah, 12 hours is probably the best way to spend your time watching a movie.
Wow.
But I really enjoyed the movie. So now it's not a perfect movie by any stretch. There's plenty of things I dislike. There's lots of things I liked. And we're going to get into all that stuff from everybody, but just let's go around the room real quick and see, like, overall, how did you feel about the Snyder Cut? George, take it away.
Overall, I think you hyped this movie up so much that I was forced to love it. and in a bit, honestly, it was really great. My expectations were super low, so it literally shattered my expectations. It was really, I didn't even watch we talked about this. I didn't watch the first Justice League, so I didn't really know what to compare it to, but now I kind of wish I should have, just to see what they cut off and like what they changed and arranged like within the story. But
I think you should watch it. It's only 2 hours, and it's literally half as long. It's half as long as the Snyder Cut.
Okay.
But you're gonna notice like right away, like, because literally every scene that is in the 2017 movie that's in the Snyder Cut, it's better than the Snyder Cut by leaps and bounds.
Okay.
It's insane how it works out. Like literally, there's not one scene in that movie 2017 that's better than the Snyder Cut.
So is it true that in the original Justice League they didn't use any of Snyder's footage?
No, they used a lot of his footage actually.
Oh, okay. That's what I was sure.
Yeah,
I had heard that.
Yeah, there's many scenes that are the same scene in both movies, but they play them differently. Like it's
okay.
You really need to watch it because I think you're gonna be like, wow, this Snyder Cut is like, it feels like an epic, like Lord of the Rings type, maybe Avengers-ish kind of movie. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not saying it's as good as those movies. I'm just saying like it feels epic. Whereas the Justice League that came out in 2017, it's just such a like. It's like one of those animated movies that you could watch for free on HBO Max. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. It's like you don't care about the characters. They just throw them together, and it's like they have this generic story. I mean, it's the same story basically, but the way they water it down, it's not very good.
Yeah, what I loved about this is like I love the chapters and how they split in sections. Like I think that was great. Like especially just because it's such a long movie that.
Yeah.
Like I literally had to. I think I paused like within like part 3 just to grab lunch because I was like, "Wow, this is insane." It's still not even halfway through, and I love that they did that, and it just made the movie feel like almost like a mini series. And
yeah,
I thought that was pretty great.
It could have been, and there was talk of him doing that, and I think that would have worked better maybe to have there's 6 parts plus an epilogue, which basically is another part. Mm-hmm. You could have done a 6 or 7 week run and just built up this hype train every week, because the movie does get better as it goes along. I think the last hour or so is really awesome. There's stuff there that I'm going to rewatch the last part of it, because it's this chapter format, I can go find it. I'm going to rewatch the stuff a lot because I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't all make sense, but it's all pretty cool. It looks amazing. So
I agree. No, overall, it was a amazing movie. I thought it's my favorite DC EU, like the DC universe movie for sure.
Yeah, I think it's easily number one. I think it's Zack Snyder's best movie, like by far.
Yeah, I don't. But the crazy thing is that I don't know how he made Batman, Superman, and then he went and made this movie amazing because that movie sucked ass.
Yeah, and I mean, like, just the way the movie begins, like it picks up from the end of BVS where Superman is dying.
Yeah.
And right away, the way they play like Superman's death scream heard around the world.
That was so cool.
So cool. Like I kind of have like chills watching it. Like the music, the score in this movie is amazing. Now the vocal stuff, we'll talk about that later, horrible. But the score is like, it's incredible. Like that's where I'm saying like it's like Lord of the Rings or like Avengers, because those movies have those scores where it's like you just get hyped up, like you want to work out or something, or you want to like go fight somebody, like listening to the music, Yeah. So, okay, Brittany. So you've been shaking your head a lot while me and George were talking. What was your take on the movie?
Oh, I thought I was going to go last. So I did watch the 2017 Justice League, and I reluctantly watched the Snyder Cut. It gets a solid meh from me. This is not like taking away from the fact that it told a much better story than the 2017 version. I just feel that, okay, I'll give to his credit. Had this been the version, albeit cut down, 2 hours, had this been the original version we got in theaters, hands down, probably would have been my favorite DC movie. But because it's 4 hours long, I do feel like there's a lot of scenes that were dragged out. Some of the lines were just kind of so stupid. It just doesn't do it for me. Like, how you, George, and you, Justin, Frank, and George, I'm sure you all feel the same. It just doesn't do it for me. Story-wise, I feel personally that Wonder Woman still told a great story. It looked good. It flowed well. You can disagree with me. That's fine. That's okay.
Which one?
Oh, the first Wonder Woman.
Oh, okay.
Of course.
I was about to say, oh my God.
Well, I would not say about 84. I still haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it, exactly.
No.
Please
and I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to see it. So anyway, no, but with Snyder Cut, to his credit, yeah, this told a much better story. It looked good. Steppenwolf looked a hell of a lot better than he did in the 2017 version. We got some added characters, such as Willem Dafoe's character was incorporated as opposed to not being incorporated in the 2017 version. And we got a lot of good background story with Flash and Cyborg, which was completely cut from, again, the 2017 version. That being said, while it's good background information and it wasn't rushed, I do understand why a lot of it would have been cut from the original, just because, again, to me, it was dragged out way too long. I think Justin, you had said it, that with Zack Snyder's kind of signature way of doing things is a lot of slow-mo type
Yeah, he
scenes.
loves slow-mo action. Yeah,
and
you've seen 300. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, and I love 300. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love 300. But I feel like, especially with the Flash type stuff, the Flash is ridiculously fast. I want to see him be fast. I mean, I understand like he's so fast that you can't see him, and thus we slow-mo everything so that you can see what he's doing. But it was just way too much. Another scene for me that I felt was dragged on just way too long was the scene where Steppenwolf is fighting the Amazonians. I just feel like that scene was completely dragged out. It's like, okay, get to the point. Are you gonna get the mother box or not? Like, just get to the damn point. So things like that for me, again, like, I have watched, for example, all the extended editions of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, which are easily, 3, almost 4 hours long. And I can sit there.
The final one is 4.5 hours.
Yes, I know.
Return of the King, because it's on
watched that
HBO
movie.
Max. Yeah, so like
I love it.
It's
I love
longer
that
than
movie.
the Snyder Cut. Yeah.
but I can sit there and watch it just because I feel that it flows better, but you don't have like these periods of dragged out scenes and all these slow-mo scenes. But yeah, like I said, for me, it's a solid meh. Will I go back and rewatch it like you have, Justin, you know, three more times, 4 more times, whatever? No, absolutely not. But I can actually just say that I watched it. I have an opinion. It's not perfect, but it's definitely a lot better than the 2017 version. And that being said, I'm going to toss it over to Frank because I'm really interested to hear what he has to say about this.
So the Amazonian scene, I totally agree. It was way too long. I didn't know where it was going. I thought they could have shaved off a good 15 minutes off that scene alone. For what Zack Snyder was dealing with and what he had to put together in such a short period of time for his untimely death of his daughter, I feel like it was a good movie. Going into it, for me, and we said this before on other shows, if you're gonna do a team up movie, right, to avoid a 4, 5, 6 hour movie, you need to do solo films of these characters so we can get a better connection to these characters. Because, like, for example, for Marvel, and I'm not making it a Marvel DC competition because Marvel blows them out the water, but the reason why Avengers is so great, you had a 4 or 5 year build up from 2008 to 12 when the first movie came out. You had Thor 1 and you had Captain America 1. You had all these other characters in solo films, so you had an attachment to these characters. It's so hard to get attached to these characters within one movie of a team up mashup movie. So that was my only beef with the setup of how they came up with the script. Now, as far as the movie itself, it was miles better than the original one. Miles better, from Steppenwolf looking a lot better to actually seeing Darkseid and getting an image of, you know, had this series had gone on, getting an image of what Darkseid could have been in future movies. I love how they set him up. I love how they showed the precursor of how he tried, you know, attack Earth the first time to get the mother box. I thought that was great. The Flash scene I thought was too long. I for as fast as he is, I don't need a 15-minute setup of him trying to save somebody. Like, that could have been done.
Thank you. Yes.
Well, which Flash scene? The one where he saves Iris, or the one at the end?
No, the one when he saves a girl
Okay.
from the truck, and then, you know, he feeds dogs the hot dog wieners and all that kind of stuff. That was way too long. So with Flash, I feel like that needed to be condensed a little bit more. And then with Aquaman, I loved Aquaman. I loved how he was set up, but this is before Aquaman 1, right? Before that movie came out.
Yes.
So Aquaman's not king of Atlantis yet.
Mm-hmm.
So with a global threat coming, why isn't the king of Atlantis evolved at all? I found that very, very weird. Like, he should have been involved. And like, we get Willem Dafoe, we get Amanda Beer's character, but I see no Atlantean king during this global threat.
Who was the king?
He was his brother, his half brother.
Oh, the crazy one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in Aquaman 1.
He's referenced, but he's not. Yeah, you don't see him. And and see, that's one of the problems with this.
They did reference him.
With this series is, like, even the spin-off movies don't really honor the world that Snyder built, you know, and like that was their problem. And so I think ultimately it would have been far better if they just, like, came out and said, Zack Snyder is going to make these movies and this is his world. Okay. And then the other stuff is their own stuff, you know, like, yes, like, the thing is like, he really did a great job with casting. I mean, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman is, like, you know, pretty awesome. I think Ben Affleck, we'll talk about this more, about as Batman, is great. Henry Cavill as Superman, you know, like, Jason Momoa as Aquaman. He nailed all these castings for the most part, except for, like, Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. And so, but the problem with these movies is they're not. It's not like the MCU. Like, they don't follow the same kind of continuity, and that's an issue.
Yeah.
It just drives me nuts. It's like, if you're gonna convey a good story with a bunch of a bunch of characters, you gotta put things in order to where it makes sense. Like if there's a global threat coming along, all the leaders of Earth need to be involved. A mother box is in your backyard, and the king of Atlantis is nowhere to be found. That makes no sense to me.
Right.
So, but with all that being said, I love the action. I love the Zack Snyder 300 slow motion of the of the fighting scenes and the sequences. That was super dope. And dude, I gotta say, Superman's suit, the all black suit.
Fire.
That suit was dope. I'm sorry. I've never seen that suit before outside of cartoons. And to see that, in this film was super, super dope. And also seeing Cyborg, a more in depth impact that he had in the movie compared to the original cut, I thought was very, very influential as well.
Yeah.
I want to piggyback real quick on what Frank just said about Superman, because that's the one other thing I will give credit to this cut is Superman, to me, looked and felt like how Superman should have been portrayed in Man of Steel and then, Batman versus Superman. Like, to me, this was like the whole personification of Superman, for sure. Like, and I've always loved Henry Cavill being cast as Superman. I think he's a good fit for it. It just never lived up, in my opinion. And so to see him, like you said, in the black suit was awesome. Like his little kind of, I guess you say, comedic moment when he finally is stopping Steppenwolf and he's like not impressed, and it's like, motherfucker, you fucked up, Superman's gonna kill you, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was cool. Like, instead of the whatever it was that he had said in 2017, I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah,
somebody mentions truth and he said, I'm also a big fan of justice.
Right. That's just so
it's not a bad line. It's just it's a different movie. It's a different I mean, in the 2017, Steppenwolf is the big bad. And he says Darkseid one time, like in the middle of the movie, and you don't ever see Darkseid. You don't ever see this storyline of how the reason why he came to Earth was because he's trying to, get back into Darkseid's good graces after something that happened years ago. So
So Darkseid wasn't mentioned at all in the.
He's mentioned one time.
They didn't show him. Really?
They never show him. No.
They never showed him. They only mentioned his name once.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of differences. That's a good segue because I was going to talk about. So I think in this movie, because this movie is okay, the movie's long, but I think the main reason why it's long is it has to do a lot of heavy lifting. It's got to make you care about these characters. There's so many characters, and that's where this movie succeeds the most for me, is because they make me care about these characters, whereas in the past I didn't care about them. I mean, even like Brittany mentioned with Superman. Superman's my favorite character, but Henry Cavill never felt like Superman until this movie. Like when he comes back, it's such an awesome return, as opposed to the 2017 when they bring him back. It's just like, okay, he just died. Now you're bringing him back right away, and it's just kind of a mess.
So they did it right away in the first movie?
No. They did it like it's toward the end also.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's just you just need to watch it. Like it's kind of comical, like how different it is.
But I think also knowing that they had to go back and reshoot those scenes, and knowing that they had to like digitize the mustache off of Henry Cavill was, I don't know, it was very off-putting. So to see those same scenes, but the original, obviously, as it should have been, Henry Cavill, you're not focusing on that because he looks as he should be as Superman. But yeah, I think the comeback was so much better. Yeah. And to see him in action and just being Superman, it was so much better in this version.
Yeah.
So I'm so confused because now that we've seen both versions, why did they digitize? Why did they reshoot Superman's or Cavill's scenes again? Because I saw those scenes in this movie, and I'm like, what was the difference?
So here's the difference. So like everything we saw in the Snyder Cut with Henry Cavill, to my knowledge, was all shot before Zack Snyder left the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when he left the movie, Warner Brothers was like, well, we can't release a 3-hour, 4-hour movie. We're going to have to cut it down. So when you cut down the movie, you've got to change things in the movie. And so by changing things, like they redid scenes that were in the the Snyder cut, but they changed, like you'll notice like a couple of them, like they changed the words. Like there's the scene when Superman comes back and he's in the cornfield with Lois, and he starts to talk, and he hasn't spoken since he returned. And he said, he speaks, and she goes, "You spoke," and he's like, "Oh, I didn't before." Like he asked the question. Well, see, in the 2017 movie, when he comes back and he's like evil, he's talking. He's like, he does this like menacing talk. He's like trying to kill Batman. He's like, "Do you bleed?" He repeats the line that Batman said to him in BVS. And then the cornfield scene in the 2017 movie, she goes, "You smell good," and he goes, "Oh, I didn't before." Like
it's so stupid.
It's like they took things like, okay, so they had him talking and they used his line, but they changed her line because it doesn't make sense, because he was speaking when he came back right away when he's fighting the Justice League. But those fight scenes where he gives the side eye to Flash, that's the same scene. That's Zack Snyder's footage. They just edited stuff around it. People like broke it down because like they're like, look at like the chest hair. Like he has more chest hair in one scene than he does in other scenes. Whereas
yes, he does.
Sorry. I mean, that's how people broke it down. Not only just the mustache, which I'll explain the mustache real quick. So whenever they did the reshoots, Henry Cavill was working on Mission Impossible 6, and he has a mustache in that movie. Well, Paramount, or the company that puts out Mission Impossible, they're like, "No, we're not going to let you shave the mustache. You had the mustache for us. We're doing, like, you already shot that other movie. Like, now you're working for us." And so they had to digitally remove the mustache. And that's why in a lot of those scenes that are reshot, his face looks so strange. And you're just like, why does Superman's mouth? And I mean, George, here's a perfect example of what's so bad about 2017. So I just told you about the mustache, right? In the 2017 movie, they open it with a close-up of his face talking to some kid, and his mouth looks terrible. And it's like,
yeah, it's really bad.
Why would you open the movie with that? Like,
yeah.
There's no way you should. That's such a stupid way to open the movie and immediately draw attention to this thing that's ridiculous. Like,
yeah, for sure.
But just to get back to the other characters, like this movie makes you care, or at least made me care about every character. And there's so many new characters that are in this film that weren't in the 2017 version. Cyborg's mom wasn't in the movie. Dr. Ryan Choi, who he's with Victor's dad, he's actually going to become the Atom, which is basically Disney's version of Ant-Man. Same kind of character where he could shrink down. Martian Manhunter, of course, was not in the 2017 movie. Now, the actor was in, BVS and Man of Steel, and he played General Swanwick, which I think that's kind of weird, but apparently the plan...
Is that him in Man of Steel as well?
Yeah. It's the same actor.
Dope. That's super dope.
But the problem I have with that is, like, why didn't General Swanwick try to help Superman fight off the Kryptonians in Man of Steel?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because it's something that Snyder said was planned all along, and I believe him, but I just think that like it's kind of a plot hole to when you have another super, because honestly, Martian Manhunter is almost as powerful as Superman, maybe more powerful. I mean,
he's actually more powerful than Superman.
Yeah, so it's like he
got this big gun on the bench, and you're not using it. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, but there's so many other characters. Like we said, Darkseid, Decide. You get a shot of Granny Goodness, which I'm not sure if y'all know who this was, but that's the female that looks like Gwendolyn Christie that's next to Darkseid and Decide whenever we see that scene.
I thought for a second maybe it was her. I was just like, wait a minute, they got Gwendolyn Christie up in here? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know who the actress was. They never did like a super close up, but it wasn't her.
Yeah.
Like you said before, Volko's in the movie. Willem Dafoe's character, and then the Flash, he saves Iris West, which they never shout her out. They never say the name, but that's Iris West. She's going to be in the Flash movie.
You just blew Frank's mind. Look at that.
Yeah, that's the love of his life. That's who he saves.
That's like Wally West's half sister or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, Barry Allen's future wife, love of his life. So that's why they have that crazy moment, minus the weird hot dog, which
Oh shit.
Yeah. And then of course, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say on kind of the note of Barry Allen, Justin, because you and I have talked about this, a lot since we've watched the movie. In 2017, it seemed like Barry Allen's character was just very annoying and very, kid and very just, so immature in a way. And it's so disheartening to say that, because I love Ezra Miller as an actor. I absolutely love him in Perks of Being a Wallflower, and I think he has a lot of depth to him as an actor. So to see him in the Snyder Cut as a more important character and intelligent, because he is quite intelligent. I think he's a genius, right?
Yeah.
And just how, I think this was also explained in the 2017 version about his Speed Force, and then to actually see him use Speed Force was incredibly cool, because I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, like, Cyborg waited too long, to tell Flash, okay, let's go. And like everyone died. And then you see the Speed Force being used, and it's like, oh shit, he can turn back time. Like I'm not a huge DC fan like the rest of you guys are, but like I didn't realize the exact powers that Flash possesses, and arguably I think he's probably one of the more powerful superheroes in the DC universe. So
he's one of the most important,
Yeah.
because his ability to change time and timelines, and I mean, he literally saves the world in the end of this movie, because he goes back in time and
Right.
fixes it. So
I
go ahead,
did-
Frank.
I didn't like that only because you see that in Flashpoint, and you see that in it might be in the Flash movie, and the only reason I didn't want to see that in Justice League, because for some reason I think they're going to replicate that in the Flash movie, and I don't want to ruin that, and that ability in that final scene of that movie, where it could be a bigger point in a Flash feature film, because not a lot of people knew he could do that until you saw it in that movie.
Right.
But
But if it wasn't used in Justice League and then everyone died, including Flash, there wouldn't be no Flash movie.
well, that's how I wanted to change that scoop up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, that don't have him fail. Have him have Cyborg attempt to do it the first time, and save that for the tipping point in the Flash movie, because Flashpoint changes everything. Like, I mean, and what Flashpoint is, I think so. Flash saves his mother because his mom dies, but in this universe, he saves his mother. But him saving his mother changes everything in the DC universe. Like, Superman is under government control. The Atlanteans and Amazonians are fighting now. Bruce Wayne dies. Thomas Wayne is Batman, and after losing his wife and son, so like a lot of that changes in that Flashpoint movie, and it would have been nice to see that in the scope of a feature Flash film.
Is that an animated movie?
It's an animated movie, yeah.
Okay.
It's a comic book too, but it's a really dope comic book, and the movies on Netflix, I want to say, it's a really dope movie as well.
The thing that I thought was so like that I've always had a problem with was the Flash, even the TV show, is the thing with his dad when he's in jail. It's like, dude, like you could either like break him out super easily, or you're friends with Bruce Wayne. This motherfucker bought the bank for
Superman's mom.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't.
Martha, sorry.
Like, yo, my dad really didn't do this. Like, can you like help me bail him out of jail?
But George Flash, mom is not named Martha, so that's not.
Right. He can lie. My dad's name is Martha.
Wait, your dad's name is Mark? That's a sub of Martha. Oh my God!
Yeah.
You gotta save your dad.
Oh my God.
I don't know. That was just silly to me. I was like, yo, like Bruce Wayne, like Batman. He could do this. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
That was the one thing I just thought was silly.
The thing with the thing this kind of speaks to a lot of our problems with this movie and with the other movies is the fact they just didn't have a plan, and they still seemingly don't have a plan. So it would make way more sense to do like Marvel did, and you have the solo movies lead to the team up, but they did the reverse. They did the team up first, and branches off to the solo movies. So
not smart. No, I don't think that's
like
the way to go.
I think like what Flash does in this movie is really cool, but I agree that like that's something he's gonna have to use the Speed Force again. Like in Flashpoint, he'll have to. When
he did that, so if that would have created alternate timelines, I'm guessing he went back in time and changed something. So
it likely did, yeah.
So I'm guessing if he had those 3 other movies that he could have done, they could have played on this, and it could have been use for like
Well,
better movies.
well, in this world,
Yeah.
not an alternate timeline, just reversing time. It's the same timeline, you just reversing
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, in this movie,
But
they
you
do
don't-
talk about how
yeah.
there are multiple
Timelines, yeah.
timelines, though.
Yeah, they
'cause
are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
So you don't know what he did.
Right. And that's actually hinted at in the epilogue. If we can jump to there, because so one thing I had an issue with, and I don't know, maybe if you guys can explain it, when in the Snyder Cut, as in the 2017, there was like a premonition that was
no,
that
that's
Bruce.
Batman vs Superman.
Well, what I'm saying is the reference to the premonition is okay. Then yeah, you're right. So Bruce Wayne talked about he had a premonition where Barry Allen had like broke through time and said, you know, Lois Lane is the key and whatever. And Bruce is saying this to Diana Prince, and she's like, well, yeah, she is the key to Superman. And Bruce is all like, oh no, I think it's something darker. How the fuck do you come to that conclusion that it's something darker? Okay.
Because I can explain it because of the premonition. Because
But how does he know it's a premonition?
I think it's a reoccurring dream that he has. I don't think that's the first time he's had that
Okay.
that nightmare. And that, I mean, it's called the nightmare like sequence. And there's a nightmare sequence in Batman vs Superman, and then there's obviously the one at the very end of Justice League, which also features a new character who was not in the original Justice League by any stretch of the imagination. That's Jared Leto's Joker. Which let's just talk about that right now. What did y'all think about Jared Leto as the Joker in this film?
Way better
Not
than
the Suicide Squad. This film.
way better
Mwah.
than Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Way
So
better.
good.
And I think with that scene, it was paying homage to the Injustice video game.
Yeah.
Because in
Mhm.
Injustice, Lois gets killed by Joker.
Right.
Superman goes
Right.
dark. He goes mad. And I would love to see a movie of that. Of like
Mhm.
the
But it's kind of like this though, sort of. You know what I mean? Like like they picked and choose little things throughout the comics and put them together. So
Yeah. I think with Jared Leto, had this been the version of Joker that we got even in Suicide Squad, I think I would have a completely different opinion about Suicide Squad. Maybe not. But I think this is like maybe a step or two behind that of Heath Ledger's performance. I think the look was almost very similar, and the cackling I think was just so well done. Obviously, it's still not on par for Joaquin Phoenix for me personally. I think his performance is probably by far the best, and that's not a shot to Heath Ledger at all. I mean, he was phenomenal as Joker, but I think this Jared Leto Joker should have been the Suicide Squad Joker and should always be the Joker for Jared Leto.
yeah, it was very good. I mean, it's only like a 2 or 3 minute scene, so he wasn't, he didn't get a lot of screen time, but yeah, he made the most of it.
He sold it though. He sold it for sure.
It's just DC wasting talent. Like in the first Suicide Squad movie, why the fuck is Joker even in that movie? It's about the fucking
Right.
Suicide Squad. What does it got to do with Joker? Like,
Well,
if you use Jared Leto's Joker, use him as a focal point in a movie, not just as a bit role. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, the guy's a talented actor. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the problem with this film. Much like the Snyder Cut deal, people believe that there's a different cut of Suicide Squad that has a lot more Jared Leto, and it's a different Joker. Because if you look at the poster for Suicide Squad, the poster shows Jared Leto's Joker, Harley Quinn, and Will Smith's character, was it Deadshot?
Yeah.
shot.
That shot.
Like the 3 biggest stars in the movie, but then you watch that movie, and I mean, it's Harley Quinn is the most dominant character. Will Smith's in a lot of it, but Joker's not in much of it. And when he is in it, he's got the damage tattoo on his head, and like just he's like a pimp, like a
He's a thug. I mean,
yeah,
like
it's not. But there was talk that like there's a lot of there's a different version of that movie out there that maybe they will release it one day, and just because
I would
I
not
mean,
watch that.
I'm not.
I don't wanna watch that.
I'll watch it, but I'm not
isn't
as
it
excited.
the Suicide Squad versus
Well,
just
Wait,
Suicide?
no,
You
that's
said they're
different
making
one.
another.
That's a different
movie,
one.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, James Gunn is directing one that comes out this summer.
That's
on
right.
HBO Max. Yeah,
that
no,
one's the Suicide Squad.
I bet it's going to be pretty good.
Wait, so what's the guy's name on Will Smith's character? Deadshot.
Deadshot.
Yeah.
And then the guy that was in this movie was Deathstroke.
Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Deathstroke.
Yeah.
That's the guy from
Wasn't
Titans.
that played by
Yep.
by Sofia Vergara's husband?
Yeah,
Yep.
Joe Manganiello,
Mhm.
he is Deathstroke in this movie, and he was actually in, he was in Justice League, the 2017. It was a post-credit scene with him and Lex
Yeah.
Luthor,
Yeah.
but it was different. Where in this post-credit scene, well, in the 2017 when Lex Luthor says he meets up with Deathstroke, same kind of setup, and he says, "I think we should start a league of our own," or whatever.
Mhm.
Meaning they're going to have their injustice.
They're gonna go play baseball.
Right. But in the Snyder cut, Lex Luthor tells Deathstroke that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And what this was going to lead to, it was going to lead to a Ben Affleck Batman film where Deathstroke was the villain.
Nice.
And there was also going to be a solo movie for Deathstroke, just kind of an origin story movie. Both those, of course, were scrapped. But in this movie, we see Deathstroke, we see the new scene with Lex Luthor. Then we see the nightmare scene where
Mhm.
Deathstroke is all of a sudden teamed up with Batman. And all that footage was filmed this fall. So all the stuff there. And I watched a making of thing. So Ben Affleck and Joe Manganiello, they were together. And they filmed their stuff together. Whereas Jared Leto was by himself and they just pieced it together. No one was with Jared Leto when he filmed his scene. So I give him credit because it looks really cool. And
Looks so good.
the storyline is crazy, but I want more of that for sure. I think that's a cool storyline. I mean, I think that evil Superman is kind of DC's one trick pony move, but if you do it really well, it's cool. The problem is if you don't, there's a show called The Boys where Homelander is a much better version of evil Superman than DC's Superman. So,
check out our pods about the boys on our channel, Watchers in the Basement.
I know.
It's a good plug-in.
We have plenty of, yeah. But just kind of getting back to things I liked about the movie, and y'all can all just chime in. I like the fact in this movie, okay, so we talked about The Flash a little bit ago. So in the 2017 movie, The Flash was an annoying wimp. Batman had to tell him to save people, even though he has a superhero suit that he created to be a superhero. It didn't really make sense. Yeah.
Mhm.
But in this movie, he's not really, he's not the toughest guy, but he's not afraid of everything.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that. I also really enjoyed something that I think added character to Superman is when Barry Allen says Superman was my hero, which I don't believe that's in the 2017 movie. And that, to me, that shows, because the problem with all of this whole thing from the beginning it's so rushed and thrown together. Superman shows up and he's here for less than 2 years, and then we're going to kill him. Batman hates him for whatever reason, and we kill him. And it's whenever you do that with Superman, you have to let him live long enough to where when he dies, it's a major event. Can you imagine if we had a superhero in this world for 20 years and then he died, it would be incredible.
Iron Man.
Exactly. Yeah. No, Frank, that's an excellent point, because Iron Man is a B or C level comic character from the 80s, 70s, whatever, who now, if you took a poll, he's the top superhero, because they built him up to where he's very important. He's this key character, and Robert Downey Jr. is awesome and can play the hell out of that role. But now he's elevated.
Mhm.
If you don't elevate people are not going to care when you kill them off. Also, they're not going to care whenever you team them up, because if I don't know these characters or I don't have a reason to care about them, what does it matter?
And
This
to that-
movie does that. It builds up. It's a building movie.
Mhm.
It's the problem with it is it had to be the Avengers 1, 2, and 3 all in one movie. And it's just, that's impossible to do that.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, we talked briefly about how you have this team up movie, but you don't have the background or the buildup for some of these characters at the time. In a way, it was the same for Black Panther. We talked about this, previously in a different pod, but when we first are introduced into Black Panther in Captain America Civil War, you saw there was motive. You saw there was reason behind T'Challa to be so involved, so quickly in a way. The death of his father, and he's, going to go kill the Winter Soldier because supposedly that's who killed his father, et cetera, et cetera. So you started becoming invested in that character. And then when he finally had his solo film, it picked right up from where we left off with Civil War. So that was done extremely well. But then again, this is apples and oranges. It's not about, Marvel's, better than DC or vice versa. It's just what these producers and directors and writers do, and they're given these characters and they've really nurtured them and developed them over a period of time, whereas unfortunately with this team up movie, it's just like, okay, we have our known characters, but then we're just going to throw these into the mix just because we feel like it. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, yeah,
no matter what you do, you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Marvel has a plan. DC doesn't really have a plan. So, but it looks like Zack Snyder did have a plan, and I'm interested to see more of it. I hope that we get to see it in some form or fashion. Not sure that's going to happen, but I mean, this movie has been well received. It's got a high score on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's like 78% or 76%. Like Batman versus Superman in comparison has like a 26 rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think Man of Steel is like in the 30s. So like it's a huge step up. People, critics and fans alike, like this movie. So
I will say really quickly, and we can move on. One thing that Thor could have learned from my girl Wonder Woman was to go for the head early on. That's how she was able to kill Steppenwolf. She went for the head. She decapitated him. Thor, you need to take notes.
I'll tell you what, man. Diana Prince can go for my head anytime she wants, dog.
Oh my God.
You set him up right there. That was
I did. Bravo, Frank. Bravo.
Yes, I'm just saying.
That was the alley-oop right there.
There we go. Well, who actually did, kind of take that approach was Lois. We see that she's taking a pregnancy test in the movie, and initially when I talked about this with how do y'all not notice this stuff?
It was in the drawer. It was in like her side.
Yeah.
She wasn't taking it.
She put her press pass back over it. Yeah.
No, but she takes it out and goes to the bathroom.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Did y'all not pick this up? Oh my God. Okay.
I might have been texting at that point. I totally missed that.
Wow, that's so sad.
It's a 4-hour movie, dude.
Come on, man, give me a break. I saw like 97% of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, okay, all right, but we seem to get confirmation, presumably at the end.
Was that in his first movie?
No. It was in just the Snyder cut. But so she presumably takes this pregnancy test. We're going to assume that she's, pregnant. And this could be the reason for the cliffhanger storyline that we saw at the end about Superman going bad because Lois is dead. If she's dead with his baby, like, come on. I mean,
that's what happened in Injustice. She was pregnant in Injustice when Joker killed her. So.
Yeah. So that I was like, oh wow, shit, she was pregnant, And then it makes me wonder, it's like, would this child have had powers like Daddy? But who knows?
If you watch The Adventures of Superman and Lois on CW, you'll see that answer.
I know.
Well, they have two children. One of them has them. The other one doesn't yet or doesn't have them. But
spoiler.
To speak to that about the pregnancy. So this is where this is kind of wacky because I told you all a few weeks ago that Zack Snyder had a plan originally that Lois, after the death of Superman, Lois and Bruce Wayne hooked up, right? So in this movie, it's still not clear if that did or did not happen, right? Because if you think, I think it would be weird too. But if you think about it, like Batman always uses Lois to rein Superman in. He knows like that's the key. And at the very end of the end of the movie, whenever you have the whole bank line about, how'd you get the house back when I bought the bank, which by the way, it's a funny line, but it's a dumb line because like if your house went to the bank, you know how you get the house back? You buy the house back. You buy it from the bank. Now, Bruce Wayne, he can buy the bank because he's Bruce Wayne. So that's the joke. I get it. But like, you would just buy the house. You wouldn't have to buy the bank,
Like,
flex.
Like that line, that was just
That's a flex.
That was just Bruce Wayne, like, exercising his swag on like, I can do what I want to do. And,
right. But I mean, like,
must be nice.
Like Clark should know the answer. Like, how do you think he got it back? He bought it. Like, I mean, like, no shit. Like, what was he gonna do? Like, so there's that.
There were some dumb lines in this movie. Like,
and we'll go through some of them in a second.
Yeah.
But so here's what was going to happen with this story going forward is that Lois is pregnant, and they said that it was going to be Superman's kid, but I don't think it's as clear as that, because in the future, in the next two movies that hopefully we'll get, the story is that Batman ultimately, in the end of the movie, he sacrifices himself to save the world. And so by doing that, so what happened in the nightmare thing is Lois dies, right? So Superman goes bad because Darkseid uses the anti-life equation to control him, right? So in the nightmare scene, they're trying to figure out a way to reverse that. That's the whole point of the exercise. Well, when they do reverse that, Batman sacrifices himself. And so the kid is actually named Bruce Kent. And then 20 years to the day of Batman's death, Bruce Kent becomes the new Batman. His parents take him to the Batcave and they say, your Uncle Bruce would be really proud if you would take up the mantle. And so the new Batman is
Daddy Bruce
and Lois Lane's son, because the kid has no powers. So to me, that kind of means like it's Bruce Wayne's son biologically. Now Clark Kent helps raise him because it's just like with his dad, like Jonathan Kent wasn't his biological father. I don't know. That's a wacky storyline, but that's what was planned. So
Zack Snyder's plan.
I mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not clear because, like, Zack Snyder even said that DC said, no, we don't want the Lois Batman thing. Like if Lois is pregnant, it's got to be Superman's kid. But the way the story ends, from what he says, I don't believe that it's Superman's kid. That's just my personal opinion. We'll see if that ever happens.
How can a man who gave me 300 and 300 Rise of an Empire come up with such a bullshit ass, fucked up ass, dumbass storyline as that? So not only do you besmirch the name of Lois Lane, who's a fan favorite character for eons in the DC universe, you make Batman Drake? Like, I don't understand. Like, what the fuck is it? That's the best you could do? You're fucking
tell him, Frank. You tell him.
Money, you have all these resources, and that's the best you can do. These are the best writers you can come up with. That's what you come up with, writers? Like, really? Come on, bro. That's nah. I can't.
Drake.
Drake.
So, like that's the ultimate bitch made move. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is your coworker and like saving the world, and you fuck his girl? Like, seriously? Nah, bro.
Well, I mean, the thought is, well, he was dead.
Because that makes everything okay. This is very reminiscent of Pearl Harbor, okay? When funny enough, Ben Affleck,
right,
was presumed dead, and Josh Hartnett goes and fucks his girl, and then they are gonna have a baby, but Josh Hartnett dies, Ben Affleck raises the baby. What the hell?
Well, see, here's what's not clear. So how long has Superman been dead? Because she's taking a pregnancy test. I mean, she's still a human person. So there's a certain time period where she can get pregnant. Like, otherwise, like, she'd be like 9 months pregnant or something. Like, I mean, when did he die? Did he just die like a few months back? Because they make it seem like he's been dead for a little while, right? So it would make it seem like Batman or someone else is the father because Superman was dead.
No, and that's fine. If she wants to get her swerve on, that's totally fine. But like, why would Batman? If Batman can have any. He's a billionaire many times over. He can have any girl in the world. Why would you go impregnate the girl of the guy that you try to kill? That you're the same mother, mother's
right.
name as the guy that you try. I don't. That makes no sense to me.
The explanation that I've heard is that grief brought them together. The loss of Superman for both people brought them together. Now, that doesn't hold water with me, but that's what they say. So, George, what do you think about that crazy storyline?
That's too much. Yeah, that's too much.
That's way too much.
you said the grief brought him together. This motherfucker was trying to kill him.
No, I know that. I'm aware. That's
So,
why I don't like it.
I don't know.
I mean, you could argue that Batman got him killed. Because the kryptonite spear, like, who created that? Batman did.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he used that to kill Doomsday, but
I don't know. That's far reaching.
I'll give him this. I don't think it's a very good idea, but it's very interesting. Like, I would definitely watch it.
Yes, sir.
So this is relating to Aquaman. Did you notice that he took off his shirt for no fucking reason whenever he had the chance?
I mean, like, I'm not complaining about that.
I know you're not. That's why I was asking you. But it's so funny that he literally jumped out the water. He was already wet, right? And then he's gonna jump back in. He's like, okay, let me take my shirt off this time, even though I'm soaking wet already. That made no sense.
I mean, wet clothing is heavy. Okay, I mean, you don't want that on you. And he's in Iceland.
Miles an hour. What is a piece of cloth got to do with like slowing you down? Like, this guy's like a jet underwater. Like, what does a shirt got to do with anything?
It might slow him down. We don't know. I mean, shit.
I wish he would have kept the sweater on, because then that girl goes and smells it. That's like that's one of the weirdest parts of the movie.
Okay, so I have a legit question. Frank, you've been to Reykjavik. You've been to Iceland. You've partaken in the lagoon that's over there. When you took off your shirt, were there any Icelandic women who started singing as you took off your shirt and emerged in the water and took your?
Of course, I'm sure they did.
I mean, not singing, but I think I shared this picture with you guys. Like, I'm sitting by the water, and there's women looking at me, like from the pool. But
you're a unicorn.
I think I was a unicorn in White Walker Land, but for the most part, it was just
Oh man,
White Walker Land.
You bring up the singing part. That's a good transition, because I do think the worst part of this movie are all the cheesy vocal numbers for each character.
Yeah.
I mean, I had the closed captioning on, and of course I'm listening, but like the words, it's like for the Aquaman, it's like, he is the king and he is everything. It's just this like, oh,
yes, he is. Yes, he is.
It's just, that's the worst part of this movie, in my opinion, with the musical stuff. I mean, the score is awesome, but they just weren't even good songs. Like they didn't rhyme, and like I don't know, like to me they got worse each one. Like the first one's pretty bad, then the Flash one's pretty bad, and the Aquaman one's really bad. And I don't really understand, like, and those scenes also took up a lot of extra time. Like you could have cut those scenes and saved 4 or 5 minutes here and there.
Speaking of things that were also bad, I mentioned earlier about bad lines in this movie.
Yeah.
Some of the worst ones, in my opinion, actually came from Lois Lane, which I don't know why they decided to do her like that, because specifically in the field when they're back home and Superman first speaks and she's like, you spoke, and he's like, I didn't before, and I'm all like, no shit, Sherlock, he did speak. I mean, come on. And then later on,
but the reason why she says that is because it's the first time he spoke since he came back to life.
I know that. I'm aware of that. But what I'm saying is then it grows to this, he's in the field and he's, just kind of taking in the surroundings, and she's walking towards him and he says something to her, and I can't even remember what it is right now. And she's like, you're back. And I'm thinking, where the fuck have you been? Of course he's back. Like, why are you stating the obvious?
He's back to being Clark Kent. That's what
I get that. It's so stupid. It's just a stupid way of conveying that thought.
There's dumber lines. Like I want to point out this one. I want to point out this one. I like that Cyborg's mom is in this movie, but her thing where she's talking to like the principal of the school or whatever, like, so Victor, because he's a genius computer hacker, he changes the grades of some student to help her, some friend of his. And the mom is like, she's like, yeah, he did that. He was just trying to help her. Like, her family's gone through a rough time. What'd you do to help her? And it's like, but what he did was illegal. You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between helping somebody. Like, it's just such a weird line. And it's played to be like, oh, you're such a dumb person, you principal. And it's like, well, he's just saying like, you change somebody's grades. Like that's a pretty big deal when it comes to school. Like
I also
College.
think, yeah, I also think from her, the my broken boy line was kind of, I don't know, that didn't sit well with me for some dumb reason.
oh, at the end.
Well, when he's having that, when Victor is, pretty much trying to get into the Unity, and the Unity, I guess, picks up like your weaknesses and what have you. And so
Right.
he's seeing his family,
Right.
they're all gone. And that's what I guess he'd want more than anything, is to have his family back.
Yeah.
But the mother in the mother box says, my broken boy. And I'm just like, this was like some Brand type shit, like who has a better story than Brand the Broken? I don't know, that just bothered the mess out of me. It was dumb.
So what bothered me about Cyborg's storyline was so Cyborg blames his father for the accident that his mother had when he was in the car. Like, bitch, just look while you're driving. Don't look down and look. Like, she's like this talking to her son. So, what is just watch where you're going. Like, how about that? Like, how's that your dad's fault? Had his dad been in the car, he would have died too, probably. Like, how's that your dad's fault?
If there's one thing I hate about
the dad
movies,
wasn't there. Good.
when they do this, you always can tell when it's going to happen in a scene. When they're in the car, they're like, mother, God, look straight. Every time.
It's like
every time it
bothered me. Like, if you want to do it to where it's raining so hard she can't see what she's driving straight, I get that. But why are you making full 180-degree turns to your son talking in the hard rain? That made no sense to me.
Oh, so one other thing that didn't make sense to me, and I don't know if y'all caught this. So when Diana is talking about, what was it, the Age of Heroes, when man, gods, Atlanteans, etc., they all fought together, to fight Darkseid. Darkseid already had the 3 mother boxes, right? And there are like these, I don't know, priests or sorcerers or something, but they're like chanting, and you see the mother boxes like rotating in the air to begin the Unity. So keep that in mind, right? But when Steppenwolf finally gets all 3 mother boxes and wants to start the Unity, he literally just says, unite, synchronize, and then boom, they synchronize. What the fuck were the point of the priests or sorcerers from, way back in the day for? Like, if it was just that simple, like, why?
You know what, Brittany? I've seen 2 versions of this movie. I still don't know what the fuck the Unity does. Like, what like, does it just destroy the world? Like, I don't.
Is it like the convergence, like in Thor?
I think it destroys the world, because that's that's what Flash. Because once the Unity happens with the boxes, you can see like Superman, even Superman's body is like disintegrating, and so the Flash has to go back in time, use the Speed Force to change it. So
So I guess where I'm confused. So Thanos had a mission. He wanted to eradicate half of life to preserve resources. That makes sense to me. If you're Darkseid, what are you doing going around just destroying worlds? Like what are you benefiting from this? I'm destroying all of life in every single planet that I touch. What do you like? What is the goal?
Is it the anti-life equation? Like he just wants to like control all sentience or something? Like, isn't that the main goal for him?
Yeah.
Oh, so destroy the planets and then take the life from that planet and make them those flying little zombie things.
The parademons? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he just wants people to worship him, like what Brittany was saying. Like that's basically what he was saying. Like his whole dialogue was like getting people to worship him.
Then do that. Don't destroy. Don't eradicate all of life. You can't have nobody worship you. Be killing everybody. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I think that's why he wanted that equation or whatever, so he can do that. Because I think once he has that, then people will.
So this is what. Right. So this is what I read. So the anti-life equation is a formula that basically gives the bearer control over every sentient being, which is why Darkseid wants it. It's important.
There you go.
So he was destroying all these other planets to find the anti-life equation?
Yeah, probably, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Most likely.
He's been looking for it forever, and he didn't know.
Which was dumb, because like with the whole Steppenwolf, like, oh, I found the anti-life equation. But if Darkseid already knew which planet he lost at, and that's where the equation was, like, I mean, Steppenwolf, like, you didn't, find anything new. It's like Columbus. Like you've already like you're rediscovering something that's already been discovered. But why the need for Steppenwolf and Desaad and all that to, be like middlemen, if you will, when Darkseid already knew where it was?
Yeah, that wasn't clear to me either. I didn't understand that. Like, if you lost it on one planet, wouldn't it have been on that planet the whole fucking time?
Bingo.
Or did it go through portals and shit, and it became it's like another planet? I
don't get it.
His goal wasn't clear to me. Like I get Thanos' goal. I get Loki's goal. I get a lot of these other villains' goal. When I watched this movie, like I was breathtaken by seeing Darkseid on film, but his goal was so muddled and so unclear to me. I didn't know what he was trying to convey as a villain.
And then he had like a very Thanos-like line of, we'll do this the old way, Thanos like, I'll do it myself.
You have to remember that Thanos was actually kind of a knockoff of Darkseid. I mean, it's the same person created both characters. It's like Deathstroke and Deadpool. Very similar characters. Hell, Deathstroke is Slade Wilson, and they named Deadpool Wade Wilson. Now, obviously, Deadpool's character is completely different because he breaks the fourth wall and he's this jokey guy. But no, to go back to Darkseid, I think the reason why he didn't return to Earth for so long was because after he got whooped, he had to wait until the Earth was weak. And when Superman died, then the Earth was weak because back then you had lanterns, you had obviously Atlanteans, you had Amazons, and you had the men, Ares and the gods, that kind of stuff. Zeus was there.
But Justin but Superman was on Superman for like 2 years.
No, I know. Yeah, no, there was definitely a window where he could have
a large window.
Yeah, I mean the Atlanteans are still there, the Amazons are still there. Now I guess the gods, the old gods are gone, Zeus and Ares and those characters. Yeah, I mean
He chose the wrong time.
It's a movie, like that's why.
Yeah.
It's not perfect.
No. But I really enjoyed it. Something else I really enjoyed were the football scenes that Victor Stone. Victor Stone was not only was a genius, but he was a star quarterback for Gotham City University.
Oh, he was a quarterback?
Yeah.
I thought he was like a running back. The way he was, he was like airlifting guys in the air and shit. I'm like, no.
He was under center, and then he was wearing number 7. He was definitely trying to be Michael Vick. He was a left-handed quarterback too.
Oh, I thought he was a running back doing a wildcat. Like I didn't know what he was doing. Like this guy was like a fucking beast.
No, I think he's a quarterback.
He was a quarterback. But
that was a cool scene. Because that wasn't in the 2017 movie. I mean, we knew that he was a sports star. That was kind of mentioned, but there was no scenes of it. And I like how they're playing Wisconsin. That was actually Wisconsin. They beat. So that was kind of cool. It was a real school they were playing. His character is so much better in this movie. I mean, he was in this 2017 movie, but he's such a pivotal character. He's almost like the point of view character for the audience and so much of this movie. And I think it's worth pointing out the actor Ray Fisher, who plays Cyborg / Victor Stone. He'll probably never be in another DC movie. He's had some issues with Warner Brothers.
Yep.
And it is interesting. He kind of said that the Joss Whedon set, there was a lot of abuse going on, and some of it was perceived to be sexual kind of stuff, and other stuff was racial kind of stuff. And you can see that in this movie because a lot of the characters that were completely cut out were people of color. You had his mom. Yeah, you had his mom. You had the Adam guy. The dad was barely in the movie. A lot of things that he maybe had a point. Go ahead.
My question is with that. So it looks like to me Fisher is cool with Zack Snyder. So
very cool. Yeah.
So I know he had issues with Joss Whedon. Did he have issues with Warner Brothers too? Is he fighting with Warner Brothers too, or just Joss Whedon?
Yeah. No, he had trouble with Warner Brothers. Yeah.
Because the head, one of the head guys over there, he basically defended Josh Whedon and said all his accusations were fake and all this. It's crazy, dude.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Okay.
Yeah, they did one of those quote unquote internal investigations and found that there was nothing to his claims, but that's that's not necessarily true because like I know like there's been a lot of stuff about how, and even you notice in this version, Gal Gadot is way more sexualized than the 2017 movie, and there's even like there's just like certain shots where it would like linger on her ass, like whereas those shots are not in this movie. Like there's the dumb scene when the Flash like falls on her boobs in the first one, like the 2017 movie. That one's not in this film. There's just a lot of dumb shit that was taken out of this movie. I mean, even though this movie is twice as long, it's just so much better. It's just such a better, like better experience. It makes me want to see more. And that's my question to have for y'all. Do y'all want to see this series continue in some way? Or this storyline?
I think if we didn't get a 4-hour movie for every, movie to come thereafter, then sure. I mean, again, while it wasn't, my forte, it got a solid meh for me. Had this been the theatrical, version we got in 2017, I would have been great with it. I would have been fine with it. Just cut it down. It's too damn long. I would like to see the development of how Batman and like virtually his enemies, that being Joker and even Deathstroke, come together to, join up to fight evil Superman and Darkseid. I would love to see that evolution. Right. Oh, go ahead, George.
No, I said I would like to see it pick up where it left in the epilogue. So, I mean, I think that would have been very cool to see. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. And it's okay with it. I'm cool that we at least got this Justice League movie that was actually like really good, in my opinion. So I would look forward to looking at more stuff, but I'm not going to get my hopes up.
Yeah.
Frank, what about you? What do you think?
Not another Justice League movie per se, but more in-depth solo films of Cyborg, Flash. I don't want to see Aquaman. I don't think Momoa's a good actor. Momoa needs to be treated as like Hulk in the Avengers movies. Just have team up movies. I don't want to see Momoa speak lines. He's like Keanu Reeves. Like he's Mr. One line at a time. I don't want to see that. I want to see more Cyborg, more Ezra Miller. Solo films to where it can build up to another Justice League movie. I can't do another team up movie, another spot on team up movie with no fucking build up. I gotta get solo movies in place. Then I will be interested.
Okay, I mean, we know that Aquaman's gonna have another solo movie because his first one made $1 billion. So,
on that note, I do hope, for the love of God, please replace Amber Heard with Emilia Clarke. I can't stand Amber Heard.
I thought she was good in this movie.
Okay, why do you go from the American accent in both Aquaman and the first Justice League, version, and then now she's doing a piss poor British accent? I'm sorry, it was not good.
It's the reverse Wanda Maximoff.
Right. Yeah. No, I can't stand Amber Heard, and that's beside the fact that the whole Johnny Depp thing. That's not really even. Okay, it is relevant, but it's I don't like her. I just don't think she's a good actress.
Yeah, I think she's done. I think the whole Johnny Depp thing kind of pretty much ended her in this incarnation of Warner Brother movies. But
it ended his career with Warner Brothers too. But hey, if we can get Emilia Clarke, I think she'd look great as a redhead. Just saying. Frank, I'm thinking of you.
Hey man, I'm with it.
Or they could hire a redheaded actress. Like there's other redheaded people in the world.
It's all the same. It's all the same ones that they always get. Anna Kendrick, the chick from Zero Dark 30.
Bryce Dallas Howard, and then what's her name?
Mad Men.
Her. Who else?
They can't do Amy Adams. She's Lois Lane. So
yeah. What's that? Who's married to Sacha Baron Cohen?
Oh, Isla Fisher.
Her.
She's like Amy Fisher 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. They look a lot alike. Yeah.
So this movie, we talked about it. It's a very long movie. It's 4 hours and 2 minutes. So I've already said I thought like it would have been a great it's 6 parts plus the epilogue, so 7 parts. I think it would have been a great series. what do y'all think? Do you prefer the 4-hour epic movie, or would you have preferred the 45 minutes to an hour, like weekly episode kind of thing?
No.
George, what do you think?
I'm glad it was a movie, because I would
Really?
I would have not watched it like if it was like a weekly show. I wouldn't have
Okay.
watched it.
Okay, Brittany, what about you?
I think I would have been okay with the weekly show. I think I would have been okay with that, just because for one sitting, it was way too damn long. That's if they did it well with like every part cliffhanger. You know, it was just it made you obviously want to see the next part. If it was a 7-week or even 8-week, if you want to throw in the epilogue as a final week, which I don't see why. But I would have been okay with the weekly release. Frank, what about you?
Same here. I mean, in this COVID world, I'm just starving for content, so I would have watched it. I mean, I had nothing else to do.
And it would be great for us because instead of one episode of Justice League, we'd have 6 or 7 or whatever.
Brittany's
So,
like, no.
the one thing. Go ahead, Brittany.
Well, I was gonna say, but I mean, that would have worked out, to do the weekly kind of thing, because then we could see more of this masterpiece that I am about to reveal to everyone.
Okay.
Hold on to your butts. We could call it the Justin League.
There we go.
Oh,
There
man.
we go.
Thank
You
That's
missed
an awesome
out,
logo.
Trey. You
Yeah.
missed
That's
out.
pretty dope.
That's awesome. Yeah. I like it.
you. Thank you. Yeah, it
Gonna get that on a shirt too one day.
was maybe, but we'll
Yeah.
have to see.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to say that I think that I had the same criticism everybody else did as far as like it being too long, but it was meant for a streaming service and it was given to you in chapters, so you didn't have to watch all of it in one sitting. So I think that the people that say that I agree with them. But I was actually so interested the first time I saw it that I wanted to keep watching because I wanted to know like what was going to happen. And
Same.
I didn't think that going in. I thought, okay, it's in chapters. That's awesome. I could watch a couple chapters a day, because I didn't think the story was going to catch me. But the story, like, really, I really feel like it was like Avengers light kind of. It wasn't Avengers level. Like, I don't care about those characters like the Avengers, but they made me care about them. Period. Which I think that's a triumph. So, congrats to Zack Snyder because I didn't think that was possible.
Mhm.
And I would love to see the story continue. Like, I would love for them to pick up with Justice League 2 and, Batman's looking for the anti-life equation or whatever. And the other heroes are off on their own and then they have to team back up for whatever reason to save the world. And I think it would be an awesome either series or an animated show, or maybe it's a comic book series or maybe movie series. I don't know. I'm definitely invested in this series, whereas I wasn't last week before this movie came out. So
I know you've been all obsessed.
So as far as we know so far as today, Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck are both out, right?
well, I don't think we know anything, like, because so Ben Affleck obviously is not in the Batman. That's going to be a separate movie series,
Another universe again.
right? And they're going to make another Superman movie, which they haven't really said who's in it and what's it about. So what DC should do is just like continue the Snyderverse story. And if you want to have separate Batman, Superman stories, you can have the new Robert Pattinson movie series and the new, let's say it's Michael B. Jordan Superman series or whoever plays Superman. Just have their own stories, and then you have this Justice League thing that I think deserves to have an ending. I think, like, you want to see Darkseid defeated, right? I mean, like, he's still very much out there. So I don't know. That's my thoughts.
We'll see. I doubt we're gonna get any follow-up whatsoever, but
I just want to point out a couple things before we go. So I told you earlier that the reshoots included the scene that with obviously Jared Leto was a new scene they shot over the fall, but also the scene with Martian Manhunter at the very end when he flies in to see Bruce Wayne. That was originally filmed as Jon Stewart's Green Lantern.
Hmm.
But Zack Snyder showed it to the studio, a few months back or whatever. They said, no, we can't have that because we have plans for that character.
Mm-hmm.
And so he went back to using Martian Manhunter. But that would have been pretty cool. Like, because we've already seen Hal Jordan in the Ryan Reynolds movie. We haven't seen Guy Gardner yet, but he could be coming soon. I'll ask Frank, what do you think about having the Lantern in this movie? I mean, we had lanterns in this movie. 2 of them were killed, but not the 2 or 3 like main versions of the Green Lantern.
I mean, look, I'm all about it. It's just it has to be done right. Like, I don't want guys just showing up out of nowhere. Hey, can I be part of Justice League? And then guys just join with no background story. Like, I mean, I like how Martian Manhunter was done. I kind of wish that we could have got more of a build up to about Martian Manhunter. But if you're gonna do a John Stewart storyline, just do a bit. Make sure you build him up, and you do a solo film, or you do a story to where he gets introduced right and not just thrown into the mix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree. So last thing, this is a team up movie. Which character do you think was the best character in this movie? Like, and I'm not necessarily saying like your favorite character. Which actor did the best with their character? I'll start out with Brittany.
Ooh. So I will probably still stand by my girl, Gal Gadot as Diana Prince, Wonder Woman. I still think she just delivers. I think she does she's great as Wonder Woman. And I feel like the other would be Henry Cavill, even though he wasn't, in the movie as long as, these other actors that, we saw. But I feel this was the one and only time I actually felt that Henry Cavill was truly Superman. Like, hands down, no questions about it. He for sure was Superman. So those are most definitely my 2 picks.
Okay. George, what do you think?
Batman.
Which character?
Batman. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think Ben Affleck killed it as Bruce Wayne in this movie. I don't know. I like that he kind of played the leader role. It worked. I liked it. I also like Alfred. He's great.
Yep.
Oh, Jeremy Irons. Yes.
He's great.
He
He's
took
really
my
good.
answer.
I like him. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Frank, what about you?
Mhm.
Or George, go ahead.
No, that
Sorry.
was it. Just both of them. That's
Okay.
it.
Everyone should love Scar. Just saying.
I can't see Jeremy Irons. I look at him differently now after I saw The Watchmen.
Yeah.
Seeing him, like, God, that guy has crazy range, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
For me, it's the 2 other minor characters in Justice League, Flash and Cyborg. I thought they did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they did a good job of like featuring those characters and giving them prominent roles, like to the point where it was a difference between life or death. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know much about Cyborg by going to this movie, but like his intellect and how he really like shifted the advantage towards Team Justice in this film was pretty dope. And then, Flash, like using the Speed Force and seeing more of his comedic timing in this film, I thought was really, really good too. Ray Fisher and is Ezra Miller, is that his name?
Yeah.
Ezra, yeah.
They're wonderful actors. I would love to see more of those guys, and I would love to see a solo film about those 2 guys. I wouldn't have said that 3 years ago.
Yeah.
What about DJ?
So George, you totally took my answer. I was going to mention Ben Affleck. But then I was going to say it's actually another guy in the Batcave, and it's Alfred. I think Jeremy Irons' Alfred is amazing, and I honestly, I like all the characters in this movie. I think they're all so much better than they were in the other movie. I can't emphasize that enough.
Not Amber Heard, though.
Even Amber Heard's better.
God, I hate you.
Her inclusion in the Nightmare thing was pretty cool. Like, because we see in that premonition, we see Wonder Woman die, and we see Aquaman get killed with his own trident. So it's kind of cool, like, that she's there to, like, to avenge his death. But yeah, I was thinking about Alfred. I was like, he's awesome as Alfred, but when is Alfred never not great? You know what I mean? Like, they always nail
true.
Alfred. Like,
That's true.
Whether it's in the Batman Begins, Dark Knight series, the original Batman movies with Michael Keaton, you had the same Alfred in all those movies, whether it was Clooney as Batman or
With Michael Gould.
Yeah, I mean, To me, Alfred, they always nail it. I mean, now I have not watched Pennyworth, which is on.
It's
I'm not
on.
sure what channel is that?
TNT, right?
Is it TNT or TBS?
No. It's like it's like Stars, but not
it's like
Stars.
a Stars.
Oh, okay.
Epics.
Epics. There you go.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Epics. Yeah. But I mean,
I hear
sure
good things.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably pretty good. So
Yeah.
that's just a character they've nailed. Like Alfred is just like an awesome character.
I think the interaction that Alfred had more interaction with these characters, especially like with Wonder Woman, you know, teaching her how to properly make the tea, and at the end with Superman, you know, that was kind of cool. He was kind of a little taken aback, like, oh, like you're here, kind of thing. I don't know. Jeremy Irons' range is incredible. I mean, he's fantastic.
So what's the age difference between Alfred and Batman in this world?
About 2 years.
They look like they don't look that far apart. Like he's supposed to be like taking care of Batman when he was a baby. Like I don't like they might have a 12-year difference. Like he doesn't look that much older than him.
I think it's supposed to be like traditionally like what 20 or 30 year difference.
That's some bullshit right there.
He's my favorite Alfred on Alfreds. Don't get me wrong, but like the age difference kind of like freaks me out a little bit. Like, dude, like he's like, what? Was he 10 when Batman was born? What the fuck?
You know, keep it in the Batcave. I didn't want to not mention this. I love the part where Joker mentions the killing of Robin, because it's referenced in BVS, because you see the suit in the Batcave and it's the Robin suit and it's got spray painted, ha ha ha, like something about Batman, like, you know, whatever. What I want to know is, did he kill Jason Todd's Robin, or was it Dick Grayson?
That's gonna be my question too. Like, which Robin are we talking about here?
It's got to be Jason Todd, I would think.
Dick Grayson turns out to be Nightwing after a while, and like, Dick Grayson's like probably the coldest. He's as cold as Batman as far as fighting style. Like, I don't think. And could we put this to rest? This whole Batman can beat anybody with prep time shit. Like, Batman's been fighting Joker for 35 years, and he's been killing everybody in Batman's circle. Like, let's end this shit now. Batman is he's all right, but he's not the dude. He can't be a fucking clown with a mask on. Like, I don't want to hear this Batman shit anymore. Like, he can be anybody. Yeah.
Yep.
Now this show, like, I'm really glad that I watched Titans before this came out, because Titans is such an excellent show, and all these smaller characters, they get more limelight. And, you know, another character that DC seems to nail every time is Deathstroke. So Deathstroke in this movie, the Joe Manganiello version, is awesome. The version in Arrow, played by Manu Bennett, who's Crixus from Spartacus, he nails that role. In Titans, I'm not sure the actor's name, but he's an awesome Deathstroke.
Yep.
Like,
amazing.
He was in Ozark too. He was
the bad guy.
Yeah, he's
the drug kingpin. Ozark. He's a great actor, man. Like, like watching that Deathstroke in the Titans, I'm like, God damn, how they gonna beat this dude? Like, I didn't think he's gonna win. Like, he's cold.
Yeah. I guess, like, my main point is just like DC has great characters just like Marvel. They've just got to like treat them with the care and respect that Marvel treats theirs with. Marvel can elevate any character and make you want to go see the movie. Like, there are characters that I didn't even know about a few years ago that I would go see in the theaters next week if they came out with a movie. Like, if there was a Wanda movie, I'm for sure going to go see it. You know what I mean? Like,
Frank will too.
Like, I just want DC to, you don't have to do the same thing as Marvel, but like, you're playing the same game. It'd be like if the Lakers and Clippers are quote unquote rivals, right? So the Lakers are like, okay, our strategy is we're going to pass and shoot the ball. The Clippers are like, you know what? We're going to be different. We're going to kick the ball. That doesn't work. That doesn't work in basketball. You're still playing basketball. You know what I mean? So like, you're still a comic book company. You have great characters. Tell their stories. And that's what the Justice League does. The Snyder Cut, I was completely wrong months ago. Happy to say I was wrong. I loved it. You've now heard what we've said about it. Please let us know what you think about it. And Brittany, how can they do that?
Easy enough. You can just search The Watchers in the Basement on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can check out all of our other videos, including Game of Thrones, which was our kickoff, The Boys, also MCU. You know, we've got a lot more content coming your way fairly soon. We're actually going to do The Falcon and the Winter Soldier very, very soon. Very excited to talk about that. And also, if you're not into video podcasts, that's cool. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, all thanks to Anchor.fm, where they make it really easy for us to share our thoughts with you all. So once again, subscribe, follow us, wherever. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating. You know, we're not a large podcast, but we are a proud one. And last but not least, please share this podcast to others.
Thanks, Brittany. So, guys, you'll have any final thoughts before we say goodbye today?
Thanks for watching.
I will not be rewatching this movie again anytime soon. Sorry.
I want to make babies with Gal Gadot.
She already has babies with her husband.
I want to make more.
Okay, I'll wrap this up by saying, restore the Snyderverse. I'm there. Restore. I want more Zack Snyder DC movies. I need more of this stuff. So for Brittany, Frank, and George, thanks for watching. We will see you very soon with the Falcon and Winter Soldier. We're out of here. Bye.